opportunity, as you see, for you to get to know other organizations, suppliers, or institutions that may be involved in the proposal. Okay, so we can start.
Just a quick question. Can you all see my screen? It should be showing a PowerPoint screen around the Q&A event.
Yes, we can.
Yes? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Another reminder that we had is that we will be recording this meeting so we can keep as a Q&A for other questions that may come up. So be aware of that.
Yeah. And one last important remark is that we'll send this presentation along with the Q&A that we are answering today to all of you by email later today in a PDF format. So don't worry if you can take notes during our presentation, because we're going to send them afterwards. Okay. So our agenda for this meeting is very briefly. So you can see that we have been through our welcoming. It's nice to see all of you from afar. So we're going to talk very briefly about what is the Women in Science and DICE programs, because this will help you understand where we want to get and where we've been so far in terms of these programs. And the next point will be the proposal itself, so what we are looking for, so what we are expecting to receive in the proposals that we are going to submit, and what are our criteria for evaluating such proposals, also the timeline for submitting proposals, and when we are expecting to have a result from our evaluation panel. And then we are going to open the floor for a Q&A. We are going to do the Q&A via Mentimeter. I'm not sure if you are familiar, but it's quite simple and it allows you to make questions without necessarily being identified. So feel free to make any questions you want, and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. If we do not answer them at this Q&A because of time constraints, then we're going to send them answered by email afterwards, okay? So just a brief note, the British Council in Brazil is known as Associação Conselho Britânico. We are a subsidiary and we are obliged to Brazilian laws on top of all the requirements that we have from the UK. So we'll clarify this later on the presentation, because this is very unique. And this certainly raises doubts when we talk about contracting and the type of requirements we have in terms of proposals as well. So inside the British Council in Brazil, we have DICE program, which Fernanda can talk better about it.
Sure. Sure. So for DICE stands for Developing Inclusive and Creative Economy. I know some of you are very familiar with it, but maybe not all of it. So we are a program that focus on addressing issues of economic and social exclusion through creative economy, and with a strong focus on gender and minorities. This is why you can learn more about DICE, and we can post some links here, but I think you will see how it matches the Women in Science team.
Thank you. So the Women in Science program was launched 2 years ago, more or less. It is a program dedicated to enhancing and promoting a more gender-leveled science. And it also has over the past year, we also have an innovation agenda as well. So the idea is, through a series of capacity building initiatives, inspiration initiatives, and recognition initiatives, that we can try and reverse this gender gap that still exists for women in science. So we know So we did a lot of research under this, and we were under British Council's capacity, what we can do to lessen this problem and to enhance women participation in science. And when we say science, we say mainly STEM careers, so science, engineering, technology, and mathematics. And it can also be biological careers, biological sciences, and now technology and innovation as well, as you will see. So it's very broad. So if you have specific questions about the programs, you can send us messages or emails, and you can also take a look at our website. So one thing about DICE is that DICE is a global program, and which is present at certain countries in the world, and women's science is currently regional. So the program started in Brazil, and now is being expanded to other countries in the regions. At this moment, Colombia and Mexico. Sorry, Peru and Mexico. And so we came together to build this training learning path for women, which is a capacity building program to help women to, first of all, get to know themselves. You know, this is a self-knowledge journey, and also how they can use their skills to advance in their careers. So this is the overall picture of where we stand today. So what we are looking for, so we, Associação Conselho Britânico, or ACB, which is British Council in Brazil, is looking for, sorry for the UK supplier there, but is looking for suppliers, is looking for a Brazilian supplier who will establish a partnership with a UK supplier or a UK-based supplier for designing, developing, and producing the content and learning materials of the learning path. And why ACB? Because in Brazil, we are obliged to, Fernanda, your presentation just disappeared, but that's okay. So just continue talking.
All right, just a technical glitch, I will fix it.
Okay, so why ACB? Because the British Council in Brazil is very specific. It's not like other British Council offices all over the world where they are just a branch or a local office representing London. We are a subsidiary, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the right term. So if it's not the right term, please someone correct me. And we are obliged to use our own templates of contracts, and all contracts must be in Portuguese because of local legislation and tax requisitions that we have to comply with. So we can clarify this later, but the idea is that a Brazilian organization will establish a partnership with a international organization. It can be preferably UK based, to create this learning path. So suppliers will be responsible for designing, developing, and producing the content and the data materials. So it's not only, so we are looking for a very clear methodology. So in your proposal, please say the methodology you're using. So we know there is an abundance of methodologies out there that can be used. So just please, it doesn't necessarily have to be your own methodology, but please in the proposal state the methodology very clear, because this is something that we'll be looking for. So we want to know how will you tackle the modules that we're going to present later. So Fernanda, do you think you want to add something? I think I might be missing.
Can you see the screen on presentation mode? It should be showing correctly. Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. So another important aspect at this point of the presentation is that this is a B2B product. So the suppliers will be designing and producing this learning path for the British Council and not for the final audience or final beneficiaries. So what does this mean? This means that this is a project for the British Council, and the British Council will own the IP of this training. And on a later stage next year, around April, May, it depends, the British Council will open a call for Brazilian organizations to offer this course for their local audience. So what this means, so when we were designing the concept of this training, we thought that how can we address local Brazilian needs? So how can we be inclusive and at the same time to provide something of quality that will actually make a difference in this women's life? So we thought the best way to do this would be to offer this course, this training or learning path to local organizations in Brazil through what we call a partnership through an open call. So this will not be a for-profit or zero-cost course. No, so what we are asking of these organizations is that they select participants because they know the environment what they are at, and it can be anywhere in Brazil. So the idea is to get to places we as a British Council haven't been before, but through partnering with these local organizations, we'll be able to reach more people, more women that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to have a course like this. So,
if I just may add, here you say the supplier in the design content phase. This is where we are, and what we are asking in the RFP until March is to reach this stage, until design content. So don't worry about the later stage. This is our problem to worry about. But just that the RFP is talking specifically about this phase, and you will be helping us with that.
But just bear in mind that let's just say this is a project for the British Council, but when you are designing the proposal, bear in mind who are the people who are going to receive this this training on a later stage. So this is also important that you bear in mind. It can be a bit confusing, the flow chart, but we can go back later if there are doubts. So why are we looking for 2 suppliers? Because as we mentioned, we want to reach audience we haven't reached before, and we want to combine the expertise of Brazilian and UK suppliers. So where one supplier, so let's just say that the UK supplier has expertise in methodology and delivering digital courses, and the Brazilian supplier has knowledge and the know-how of the Brazilian reality and what should be targeted. So we want to combine the best of both worlds. So this also should be clear in the proposal. So how can one supplier help the other? What one can benefit from the other in this partnership that we're going to establish. And what we're also looking for is that through the proposal that you're sending, you please to send us previous record of trainings that you've developed in this area. So this would be mainly your portfolio that we're going to be analyzing. The methodology that must be very clear, what you're going to use and how you're going to implement this. When we say replicability, sorry for the wording, is that it's going to be applied for different audiences all over Brazil. So it has to be a standard course, but to be replicable for all the country. But at the same time, it must bear in mind that it must be custom to certain realities, and this can be more clear on the additional modules that we are asking for. And previous work with minority groups or underrepresented groups in general would also be very good to have. So here is the structure of the learning path. So we want to see 2 foundation or compulsory models that will be compulsory for all participants and for all organizations who are taking the course. So the first one would be a self-knowledge, self-awareness course, where women will get to know their abilities, their strengths, and get to know themselves, so that on a later stage on module 2, how they are going to use these skills and this knowledge to develop their leadership and mentorship skills. So the first one is we would say very foundational and very basic. So it's a self-knowledge journey. So how can we get to know, how does one woman get to know herself and what she's going to, and how can she use the best of her abilities for developing leadership and mentorship skills? So these are the foundational modules. So this has to be in the proposal. So, and the other additional modules, which this can be targeted more to the local realities and to into the supplier's own expertise, are this. So these are themes that we would like to see, but do feel free to propose different subjects as well that you think will be interesting for the audiences and for the British Council. So this is in the RFP as well, and there is a brief explanation of what we are thinking about each module, but do feel free to propose something else if you feel, depending on your own expertise and previous work. So, okay.
If I may add a little, so the idea that we're having is that talking to a lot of the women that we work with that work in careers that are not typically receive women and need a more gender equality view, was that we're trying to develop a learning path that talks about soft skills as well. So how to build networks, how to know yourself, and how to deliver, how to develop this leadership that you need to, to be a woman in such fields. But also, when we think of the additional modules, this is based on Women in Science and DICE knowledge and the programs that we've already developed and the topics that already came out of this programs. And our idea is when we go to institutions, just so you have in mind, when we go to organizations, we will be able to, have a soft skills core module on the foundation and then offer additional modules that can better apply to the type of women that we're working with. Because in the Women in Science team, we work, for example, with women in academia and women in universities, but in DICE, we work a lot entrepreneurs and creative and artists that use technology. So to be able to match this a little bit. So I don't know, in the future we'll have, for example, an organization can have a 2 foundation compulsory and then apply 2 or 3 modules that match the public that they're working with. I think this is the type of adaptability and flexibility that we're looking because of the full range of the women that we're thinking of reaching with both programs.
Yeah, so just bear in mind as well that we're talking about women in technology and entrepreneurship in general. So we know this is a vast world. So that's why the 2 foundation models are compulsory. So this is a very basic, what we judge would be very basic for every woman in this very large field to succeed. And the other foundational models would be more target, as Fernanda mentioned, to the organizations. And when we say also their local context, is also that, for instance, a strategy, partnerships, and network building might not make sense for some organizations, but might make sense for others. So digital working might not make sense for women in academia, but it might make sense for entrepreneur women. And also access to markets and funding may not make sense for women in academia, but might make sense for entrepreneurs. So this is the idea that we have. So to have very strong foundational modules that will build the terrain and will make ground for what's coming next. That will be the additional modules.
Great. So let's go. Sorry, I can hear my voice. Sorry. Okay. So let's go to the practicalities. Elo, I think your mic is giving an echo, or someone. Okay. Great now. So the practicality is more straightforward. So on delivery, we are, because we live in a COVID world, unfortunately, we are thinking of 100% digital delivery. So it should be a course that we can easily deliver online, and also on a toolkit, and we anticipate synchronous and asynchronous activities. Então, so things that can bring people together, but also material and content that people can watch on their own. On language, as we're talking for Brazilian realities and we want to be inclusive, the toolkit must be in Portuguese. We are doing all of this in English, and we anticipate that the collaboration between UK and Brazil will be mostly in English. But to reach our final audience, we are expecting materials to be in Portuguese. For the target audience, I think we talked a little bit about this. This is a type of audience that matches both programs, so women in technology, scientists, and women entrepreneurs who work with science-based innovation and creative technology. And we are not focusing on specific career levels. We understand that this type of skills are needed for all of the career levels. And we also are not specifically focusing on one geography. The idea is to be able to first be able to spread this out in Brazil. The budget proposed in the RFP is on a maximum amount of 250 reais. And the ACB, which is British Council Brazil, I think Elo explained it, responsible for contracting the digital platform. So I think this is a question that already came up. So our idea is to receive from the supplier a toolkit and a plan and the materials, but up until March, which is our final timeline, we're expecting ACB will be responsible for contracting the digital platform where this will be hosted, and this will go out to the organization. So this will not be, doesn't need to be in your proposal. So for a timetable, we issued the RFP on October 19. We have until the 30th of October to clarify any questions. We'll share me and Eloisa emails, and our emails are also on the RFP for any questions you might have. Feel free to send them, other than this Q&A event, of course. And our deadline for proposals is November 6th. We plan to have a final decision on November 10th and contracting finished up by November 3rd, so we can 30, so we can start the program and the first working plan. I think that's it. I think this is a very huge RFP, and must be a lot of questions. What we want to do now is we want to give you the opportunity to do questions here if you like, but also give you the opportunity to send questions anonymously. If you want to do it by Mentee, feel free to do it whatever you want. And I will explain the Jamboard that Yasmin just posted in a minute. If we can go to questions now. Does anyone have anything? Or please, we already have it on Mentee. So let me just give me a chance to share my screen again so you can see the Mentee. If you're not familiar to Mentee, go to mentee.com and type in the code 157601. Okay, so our first question on Mentee, can you all see? Yes, right? Hello, I will answer this. So do you expect UK suppliers to find Brazilian partners, or are you matching? I think this is a great question because it will give me the opportunity to answer about the Jamboard. So we expect that the collaboration happens from the organizations themselves. The British Council does not want to match you or to force any type of collaborator. The thing is, all contracts and all And all budget allocation will be done via the Brazilian organization and via British Council Brazil. So there needs to be a Brazilian organization who will be in charge of receiving the money and contracting the project. And we expect that a collaboration with a UK supplier is formed so this can happen.
Just let me add something. So this Jamboard tool that we are going to use is an opportunity for you, both Brazilian and UK suppliers, to, if you want, leave your contact info saying, I am this organization, this is my email, we do this, and that, and what we are looking for in a Brazilian partner is this, and that. So this Q&A is also an opportunity for you to share your contacts if you want to submit the proposal. So
Great.
this is how far the British Council can go as to when it comes to matching. So we just provide this space for you to get to know, and then it's up to you to match with the organization that you think is more suitable to your proposal.
Yes, thank you, Elo. I forgot about the Jamboard. So we provided the link, and you will see here, if you have any questions on how it works, we can help you. But the idea is that be aware that this will be shared with organizations that have interest in the RFP. So whatever you put here will be shared with other organizations. We recommend you that you put your name, your preferred form of contact, where you were based, and the relevant experience to the RFP and what you were looking for or what you can offer, and any useful links that you might have. So we shared here for Brazilian organizations. You can add here your own post-it with your information, and for the UK organizations, we have another slide. We don't want to put you too much into two groups, but I think this will make it easier for you to find what you were looking for. And after this meeting, we will be sharing this with all of you and with any interested organization that might come up. I think I can consider this answered. Let's go to the next one. Regarding the budget, how is the supplier going to be paid? Installments at the end of the project? So what we usually do here is that we have, by the time we're negotiating contracts, we expect to have a first pay, so we can start the project, and then we'll have another installment by the end of the delivery. And to remind you that this contract will be signed with the Brazilian organization, so the supplier that's going to receive the money and have to be in place to receive and to be a partnership with the UK must be the Brazilian supplier. Is that all right, Elo?
Yeah, so in short, it is installments. So there will be, for instance, it depends on the contract if it's going to be 3 or 2, but ideally we're planning for 2 installments. So the first one, by the time you sign the contract, the money is not going to arrive by the time, but just right after. And then one once the project is delivered. So this is the idea.
Okay. Is there a specific process to establish the partnerships? How do we move on if we didn't finish the partnerships until November 6th for presenting the proposal? I will start answering, but I know Elo can talk more about this. We don't have a specific process. The idea is that when the Brazilian organization presents the RFP, they already have another UK organization in mind to in a proposal to deliver the service. What we're looking for more is on the proposal is to see how can you collaborate together and your relevant experiences so we can see how this would work. We not necessarily need for you to send us specifically all of the finished material. We can discuss this in a working plan, but we want to see how do you plan to do this partnership, what organization is doing what part of the project, and what are your expertise and your relevant experience to back that up. Do you want to add anything, Elo?
Yeah, what I understand from this question is that it might go into some contract, between the Brazilian and the UK organization, if there might be a contract in place by the time they submit the proposal. If that's what this person is asking, the answer is no, there's no need to be a contract in place by the time you submit the proposal. But in the proposal, it must be clear, as Fernanda mentioned, how the two organizations are going to work together, and we understand that this is a commitment between the two organizations. Yeah. So the partnership doesn't have to be sealed by the time you submit the proposal, but it must show that there is a commitment between the two organizations.
Great. Okay, should the supplier suggest a platform to be adopted and contracted by ACV?
Yes, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Because can I just answer this?
Yeah.
Because the platform you're going to, we do have an idea of what platforms are available, but because we also have to go through a different procurement process by the time when we select the platform. But given the type of material you're developing, or if you already have experience with platform, you can indicate what would be the best platform for your type of product, I would say. But it's not compulsory, it's not mandatory to suggest.
Great.
Again, it would be a suggestion. It wouldn't be a plus when we are evaluating the proposal.
Okay. To whom we should submit the RFP proposal? There are two set of names in documents: Fernanda, Eloisa, Raisa, and someone. I am pretty sure that it's me and Eloisa. I will have to look at the document again.
But you can send questions to all the four of us. Yeah. So since we are a small team, we work together very closely. So, but you can also put all of us in the same email and mail to all of us. We won't be bothered or annoyed by this, because we're all going to be reviewing the documents and answering and reviewing the questions as well. So if this is confusing, just send to all the four of us. This is not going to harm any of your questions or your proposal.
Yeah.
So in doubt, send to all of us. We don't bother when we don't mind. It's okay.
Beautifully answered, Ella. Content preview is supposed to be available on January 15. How deep should we go in the proposal? So this is hard to answer because I know how deep is different from each person, but this is all part of our contracts negotiation as well. So we plan to have, by the time we finish the contract, we plan to have a working plan to see what's going on at the timeline. And by January 15, our idea is to have a general view of the content more deeply, other than just a list of modules and a plan.
Yeah, I can add something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the proposal stage, it doesn't have to go very deep, because we understand that right now the time is very limited, and also by the time we select after we select the supplier and we start contract and negotiating, then we will go more in depth in the proposal, because we understand that we the British Council are also going to try to understand what you're proposing and suggest other adjustments in terms of the final product, let's say. So I know this may sound vague, but we are not expecting a work plan by now. What we are expecting as you suggest the modules, for instance, you give us a brief description of what you are expecting to work in this module. So what is this project? For instance, what is this module going to be about? So in this module, I'm going to work on soft skills, and participants are expected to work under this set of skills, and by the end of the module, this will be the learning objective, for instance, very briefly. It doesn't have to go very deep. What needs to be slightly more detailed would be the methodology. So as we mentioned before, the methodology is important for us. So please say what methodology you're going to use, and a brief description of 3 or 4 lines saying how why this is the methodology, why is this the best methodology for the course you are proposing.
Just to add, if you will see on our timeline, we have the structure is about for us to be checking in with you and seeing how the development is going. So I think once we have a working plan, then we will have a plan on what type of content we need to see on January 15, for example, and then we'll check back on February. These are steps, and this will be very much on the relationship that we will be building in this months of projects. Okay. Would there be, what do you mean by synchronous? Would there be live classes, or the idea is to have videos and self-reading material? Elo, can you go?
Yes. So what would be my synchronous? So from our previous experience with other trainings we did, the classes do not need to be live, because what I noticed throughout this pandemic is that people do not necessarily have time to take classes at from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., for instance. So it would be good for our audiences to have a recorded class, for instance, where the teacher or the instructor will go through the content. So it would also, for instance, be interesting. This would be the asynchronous activities. It'd also be interesting to have a syllabus, for instance, or in reading material. And when we mean by synchronous activities, we mean that there must be a time in the course for these participants to get together. I mean, it can be through video conferences. It doesn't have to be necessarily physically together, because we're talking about this COVID environment and world we are in. So the synchronous activities would be the opportunity for these women to get together and exercise, put into practice the asynchronous content they are receiving. So this would be the synchronous.
Just to add, so the idea is not a live class, for example. It's more of an exercise that we want to have them working as a group, as we're saying, networking, network building, and all of this is all very important to the content. I think I'll mark this as answered. When do we know about the LMS platform so we can predict resources available? So I think this is similar to a previous question that we answered. So the platform contracting will be a responsibility of the British Council. So you shouldn't worry on your budget about it. And this is a different project that we need. This is a different process that we need to go through, procurement and contracting this platform. So
I think I can add something. I think this relates to the other question, because depending on the supplier, I think that they might develop materials that might be specific to a certain platform, and because they have our experience, that's what I'm thinking. So it may affect their internal budget in terms of what you're going to propose to us. If that's the case, please do indicate, make this very clear in your proposal. This will help us evaluate why, for instance, you're suggesting this platform, and why the costs are what you're proposing. So it's a matter of justifying why you're proposing what you are proposing, so that we understand where you're coming from. So I think this is the idea.
Okay. There's a list of suggested UK partners at the website. Is there a preference between an academic or a corporate partner for this call? Also, is it possible to involve one of each? So I think it's also come up that the partnership is, we want it to be something that makes sense to your organization and to your proposal. So there's no preference or, no preference on what type of organization you should partner with. The list of proposed suggested UK partners at the website is currently a DICE Supplier framework that we have available in the UK, and we know that they've been through a procurement process themselves, and we can send the list, and it's there as a suggestion for organizations that know DICE, for example, and been through a procurement process within the British Council. But because the procurement is happening inside of the local Brazilian reality and through ACB, the logic is we will hire the Brazilian organization who will then choose their UK partner. So there's no requirements on our side regarding this. Is that all right, Elo?
Yes, so the contracting is going to be through the So the contract is going to be through the Brazilian organization / supplier, and who will then establish a partnership with the UK supplier organization. Of course, the partnership can establish afterwards in terms of contracting between the two organizations, but the proposal, we see this as a joint proposal. Mm-hmm. So I think there might be some noise around this, but this is a joint proposal, but the partnership doesn't have to be established right now. It can be after the contracting is done, but it is a joint proposal in the sense that the two organizations will combine their expertise and their knowledge to present the best offer. So,
okay, I will speed up our answers because in the time. Can I say a proposal just for compulsory models? Yes, I think you can. If you think it is enough on your plan, but bear in mind that among the planning that we are doing and the project that we want to reach, the additional models are very important for our adaptability and flexibility and a way to reach a bigger audience. So we want you to have a clear structure on what we're looking for. And yes, if you think the compulsory models are enough, you can send a proposal. But we will be analyzing the proposals as to whether we think they can reach the audience and the goals that we have in mind. Is that okay, Elo? You want to add anything else? No? Okay.
That's okay.
When the learning path is ready, who is it going to offer it for the audience? The supplier or you? So this is when we're talking about the little structure that we had, the little drawings with the squares. This is where we are at, the design content place. After the offer of the material is going to happen through British Council Brazil, partnering with different organizations inside of Brazil. So the supplier doesn't need to be involved in this second phase. The thing that we are planning here that needs to end until March is the delivery of content and the course in itself.
Yeah, just to clarify even further, is that the supplier, you mean you guys all over here, will not be responsible for offering the courses to our final audiences. The British Council will be responsible for offering it to the audiences.
Yeah.
Through local organizations.
As I already have a web platform, and if I use part of their content in your proposal, in this case, part of the content will not be exclusive for British Council. This would be a problem for you. I think Elo can help me on this, but I do think, so what we are thinking in terms of intellectual property is that after we finish, you need to bear in mind that the intellectual property will be owned by the British Council. So what we want here, and also thinking about collaboration, is that you create something that we can deliver as a program for the British Council. This also relates to the goals that we have to make this program have a wider reach within the DICE and the Women in Science program. So we need to have the flexibility for it to be inside and owned by the British Council. So if you don't think that you should, if you don't think that's the case for you, please do not share, be aware that this will be the way we will be working, and don't include the content that you are not comfortable on delivering for the British Council.
Yes, because since this is a supplier request, it's a request for supplier, so it means that by British Council standards and rules, the IP will sit with the British Council, will be a British Council property. So this might incur in problems for a supplier who wishes to replicate or use their own original content. So this is
yeah.
it.
Thank you for this question. I think this is very good to clarify. Role of the UK partner again.
Well, it can be what the UK partner can offer best. So this might sound very, very vague, but the UK partner may be responsible for the methodology. The UK partner may be responsible for the foundation modules, or even the UK partner may be the responsible for having the expertise with working with underrepresented and minority groups such as women in science. So the role of the UK partner can vary, as the role of the Brazilian partner can vary as well in terms of expertise. But in terms of contracting, the role will be solely of the Brazilian partner.
I think this is beautiful put. We can go forward. Your preference is for suppliers from Brazil and the UK only. Yes, unfortunately, when we talk about ACB, we're talking about when we want to work with a Brazilian organization, so we can deliver projects in Portuguese and have also the reality and the context into it from a Brazilian organization. And because of the role of the British Council, we also want to engage and do partnerships between the UK and Brazil. So our preference is definitely for suppliers from Brazil and the UK. As we have a limited time, if we can get a partner by November 6th, we can continue and submit the proposal. What do you think, Elo?
Effie, dear, are you there? I know you're quiet.
What I can answer this, I think what we ideally want is that you have a partner by November 6th, because if you submit a proposal without a partner, it would be missing a part of the collaboration that we want to reach. Other than if you have a very structured role that you want for the UK partner, and you have, 3 or 4 organizations that you already know and wants to work with, but you can't decide which one. So this will be a very specific case. But ideally, we want proposal to come from a partnership that, as we said, doesn't need to be sealed, but needs to be planned into the delivery of content. Going forward, is there a limit for just one UK organization? Could it be a 3-part, Brazil academic, UK 1, and corporate UK 1? No, I don't think there's a limit. As we said it before, we just want, contractually, we need the Brazilian organization to sign with us, ACB, but depending on how you share this content and how you see the partnership happening, more organizations could be a part of it. Just needs to be under planned under the budget and your working plan. So There's no limitations.
Yeah, there's no limitations, but just be aware that the budget that we have must cover all organizations involved in the proposal.
Yeah.
So the only limit would be in matters of budgeting and also in contracting, because we know this can be tricky between more than one organization, but there isn't like a ceiling for how many organizations you can have.
Great. They keep coming, our questions.
Yes.
In the content design, do you expect the recorded classes as part of content design?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not sure what you mean by content design. We don't expect the recorded classes to be ready by January, as we were saying. But when you think about the design of the course itself, we do expect that the recorded classes or any content that you wish to make available online to be there. I think that's our question, that's our answer. Can the BC share a range of platform which can be procured so we can have an idea of what kind of materials can be developed?
Yes, we can share. So ideally, what we have done research so far, and ideally the platform would be one hosted in Brazil and in Portuguese because of our local audiences, but we can share the ones we have searched so far. This is just a preliminary research. We haven't contacted any of them, but we can share with you what we have searched so far. There's no problem.
Yeah, I think we can also bear in mind that unless you have like a very specific content that needs to be, I don't know, that only one platform can host, then this wouldn't be a procurement, and then we would have an issue. But we can also, depending on what type of materials you come up in the proposal and say, I don't know, we'll have one recorded classes, and we need a platform that hosts videos, audios, and PDFs, I don't know. This could be, we can see what the content is and look for specific platforms in that sense. So I don't think you should be too worried about that unless you have like a very specific platform that provides a very specific service. Other than that, we can procure for platforms inside of what the content and materials will be. And this could be negotiated between us, I think, too.
Yeah, if there's anything very specific about the materials you are proposing, just please make clarification about that in the proposal, saying, well, please see that this part of the course, this video, it's just an example, can only be hosted by this type of platforms, and then it's okay. So that just that we are aware.
We will be credited as the co-creators. Yes, of course, I think. Yes, hello, right? Yes. As part of the British Council, only intellectual property, but the credit usually is there. We can get back to you specifically how this can happen, because this would be a contractual agreement, and we can go further to have a more specific question answer for you. But so I think we can share this later, but I think yes. The budget will be split between the UK and BR organizations.
Yes. Yes, because it depends on what is going to be the arrangement between the two or more organizations. And the way it is going to be split is up to the proposal that you are submitting. We don't have any preference on exactly how the budget is going to be split. But the thing is that it is the Brazilian organization who will be receiving the money because of contractual obligations that the British Council in Brazil has, and then the Brazilian organization will be responsible for sending the share of the budget that is fit to the UK organization, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. Just one thing that I remember from last question. So one of the annexes of the RFP is our contract that will be signed. Please take a look there if you have any questions around intellectual property, because we have the clauses already there, and you can see if that works for you. And I think this would be better and very clear. But we will try to send this out to you again if you afterwards. If you have a partner in mind in Brazil, do we direct them to you to find out more? I'm not sure what the question is about. But no, if you have a partner in mind, you do not need to go through us. You do not need our help, let's say, or do not need our certification to find a partnership. Feel free to, if you already have a partner in mind. If you need help contacting them, if you don't have their contact information and you see that they've already worked with the British Council, then yes, me and Eloisa can talk to them and see if they will be willing to share the contact information. But if you already have contact with them, do not feel obliged to involve the British Council at all.
Yes, you don't. Yeah, you can contact the partner directly, and then submit the proposal. But if they do have doubts, they can obviously contact us, if that's also part of the question.
And if you say, let's say it's an organization that already worked with DICE or Women in Science and you don't have their contact, you can send us an email and we will see if they want to be in contact with you, and we can help with that. But that's about it. Is there a list of the Brazilian organizations and their expertise? Are they part of an existing supplier framework similar to UK DICE, or is this an open call for Brazilian-based organizations? So this is an open call for Brazilian-based organizations. We do not have an existing supplier framework as we have in the DICE in the UK. And as part of an open call format, locally, we cannot, we do not have an existing list to share with you, unfortunately. I think that is our answer. Can we share this recording with our BR partner? Yes, of course. We will be sharing this recording with you afterwards. We also plan to have it up on our website for future interest partners. Also, when we're talking about partnerships and finding your BR or UK partner, let's remember the Jamboard. I think this will help you specifically if you don't know many organizations in the country. So please share here. The idea of this Padlet is, or this Jamboard, sorry, is to help you also share your interests and your goals. So for example, if you're a UK organization that has very specific knowledge on, I don't know, self-knowledge and leadership methodologies, and you need someone who knows more about the science and technology field, for example, you can share this more directly and say, I'm looking for a science and technology organization in Brazil, and hopefully this will help you find a partner if you don't already have one. As always, keep in mind that this will be shared, and only share information that you are comfortable for making public. I think we are a little bit past our time. I want to see if we have more questions. Very good to clarify that. If anyone else, people needed to jump off, if anyone else has any other questions, we'll be available for just a little bit more time. So people are saying they will be putting their contacts in Jamboard for the partnership, so be aware of that. Thank you.
Yeah, if there is any outstanding question in the chat box here, we will answer them afterwards we'll answer them when we send the PDF with the presentation and all the available links that you can access to submit the proposal. So don't worry, we'll answer them, and we'll try our best to answer this PDF by later today or tomorrow. So we're going to answer your questions. Don't worry.
Yes.
But if there is anything outstanding after this presentation, after we send the PDF to you, please send us an email and we will answer them.
And I've already, I don't know why the caption is so large, but I've already shared our contact information here in the RFP. Thank you all for coming. I think we covered a lot of things and it's quite a huge RFP. So thank you for coming and taking interest. Feel free to reach us and hopefully we'll see each other again.
Okay, so bye everyone.
Bye everyone. Thank you for coming.